Classic League Podcast time!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 249 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott. I've got spooky, scary skeletons with me. Actually, just a ghost and a spider. What's up, Dustin?
I got the second one.
That's awesome.
Off of eBay.
Were you able to snipe it for $10, or did you have to go a little higher?
It was a little more expensive than 10,
Okay.
but totally worth it.
Okay. Well, didn't you get the ghost for 10?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to see you. Hey, what's up, JC? Got to give a shout out to people joining us in chat. We have a Zarek Raids. We got Yesha Kitten. We got Babs. We got Ken. Silverfangs. Good to see everybody here. We got Corey. Yeah, we got active chat. So if you would like to join us, we do record the podcast live Wednesday nights on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/classicleet. And that's around 8:15 Eastern time in the United States. So yeah, man. It's officially October. Mm-hmm. It's not even, it's socially acceptable across the board now to be completely Halloween. So
yeah.
What's the outside of your house looking like? Have you started yet?
Not really. I rarely do very much outside just because I don't have any plugs on the exterior of my home.
Really?
Yeah. It was built in the 50s and just nobody updated it.
Nobody in the 50s could see electricity being needed outside. We got the television inside. What do we need that for? Well, good deal, man. Yeah, it's Halloween. It's October. Leaves are falling. And, I'm getting excited about it. Should be a cool season this year. I'm going to be a wizard, I think. Did I talk about that last week, or is that on the show?
I don't think so.
I don't remember. Yeah, I'm going to be a wizard. Yeah, you're going to... who cares? So we're a video game podcast. Let's talk about video games inside of Halloween. And, yeah, we'll get going with the show. We got a couple of quick announcements. If you'd like to support the show, we have Amazon links in the description of our podcast and YouTube feed. If you click on those, it helps us out if you buy something. Also, we have the Retro League Tournament Finals to get to. And if you do join us in chat, Dustin shares the links of the stories we're talking about, so you can read where we're getting our information, as well as comment and suggest stories in chat as well. So, Dustin, let's get into the Retro League Finals. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm a little surprised that Wolfenstein made it all the way to the finals against Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the best video game of 1992, according to the RetroLeague.com.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, I would rather play Zelda. Who do you want to vote for? I'm completely okay with whoever you want to vote for.
I can't think of a single reason Wolfenstein would beat A Link to the Past.
Mecha Hitler. That's about it.
Yeah, score.
So I guess we're voting for... we'll go ahead and vote for Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and let's see how... Wait, am I in the wrong?
No, you're right. They did put like a third place playoff.
Oh, the losers bracket, the consolation game, which was always appreciated as a kid because you were already at the tournament. Might as well play. So third place we have X-Men versus Sonic. I'd rather play X-Men, I think. That's today, though. So, X-Men for the arcade. For Sonic 2, and the results are in... Ooh, Dustin. Link to the Past is winning, but 68-32. I thought it would be 90-10.
Yeah.
So, Wolfenstein holding its own. BJ
like 100-0.
Pretty much. Well, never zero. There's always that guy. Like, we didn't even start the podcast and got a dislike.
Yeah, right.
You know, so there's always that guy. We got some really good Also, what are these emojis in the chat? Chaticons? What is this called?
Let's go with emoji.
Emojis. So we got Babs with some spider, ghost, and pumpkin emojis. We got Ken using, it looks like the Venture Brothers skull. Do you ever watch the Venture Brothers?
No.
I love that show. So, yeah. Let's, he says a lot of FPS fans, I guess. Yeah. I guess there's more out there than I would have expected. Even though it's the Retro League, Zelda's such a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people saying the Beatles. Like, I'm not a big Beatles fan, but everybody seems to put them as inspiration. Everyone loves A Link to the Past. Right?
Yeah. I mean, they turn it into 3D and then they keep remaking it over and over.
It's true. Hey, Dustin, you've got a your Babs's husbando?
Am I hitched?
Husbando. Don't tell Kim where you got that, but totally start asking her to refer to you as that. If you were to bring one of the games, is there a game that you wish you would have thought might have went further in the tournament that got knocked out early?
Gate of Thunder. It should have won.
Gate of Thunder, yeah.
So good.
I don't know. I guess I'd have to go back and look. I'm trying to think of what I might have been disappointed in. Some sort of a platformer, I'm sure. Like Contra 3. I think I would. Is that in this year, I think? I think so.
Was that this year? I feel like that would have gone way further. Farther?
I don't know. With either of those. Further or farther, or the answer to the question. Maybe I have that on my mind since it's on the SNES Classic. So, I don't know. But yeah, A Link to the Past. It's official. It's the best game of 1992. First up in the news.
Ooh, yeah. Hugh makes a good point. Mortal Kombat. He thought it would be in the finals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You and I dogged on that right away, though. We didn't like the first one nearly as much as some of the others. Like, we gave it credit for, at the time, being a big deal, but neither of us seemed to like it that much.
Yeah, I remember we had, because I said it had excellent advertising.
And that it did.
That commercial, man. Mortal Monday? Holy cow.
Yep. Well, and the song from the movie.
Oh,
even though that alone would keep it in everybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Zarek says, The Link to the Past isn't just the best game of that year. It's one of the best video games of all time. I think that it would have been more interesting just to crown that as the best game from the start, and then maybe duke it out from there. So I guess let's get into some news, man. The first thing is there's a game that I've talked about on the podcast before. It's a PC mech game called Hawken, and unfortunately, the link is gone, and the game is being shut down, unfortunately. It was a free-to-play, I don't know, like maybe a slow version of Titanfall.
Okay.
And I feel like it may have came out on Xbox or PS4, maybe. But I played it on PC. Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It felt like you were in a big, heavy mech. Mm-hmm. There were different types that you could be. So you'd have a different weapon loadout, much the way you would in, I don't know, like a Call of Duty or something like that. You could be different characters. I haven't played it in a long time, so I'm part of the problem. But I'm disappointed to hear that it's being shut down.
You know what they should have done? I got the perfect ad campaign for them.
Okay.
Here we go. Christopher Hawken. They get Christopher Walken to legally change his last name.
They just try to rebrand it like EA did Madden.
Yeah.
It's just... I'd be all right with that. Oh, no. Christopher Walken's old enough. Let's not get him to change his name. Let's change the game's name to just Walken.
Walken.
Just get him to endorse it and go that route with it.
Yeah.
He could do voiceovers. You could charge money $5 for the Christopher Walken voiceover.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they'd
Extra
be
$5 and everything is cowbell.
okay. Yeah, that's the machine gun sound.
Yeah.
Oh man, they could rival PUBG with the money they're making if they would take that route.
Yes.
Babs, I don't know if it is like Mech Warrior or not. I did not play that. Did you ever play Mech Warrior?
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with that. But yes, Hawken is shutting down on PC here soon. Well, not soon, 2018, but it's October 4th right now. So at some point next year, the game's going to be shutting down. So I would recommend checking it out. It's a fun PC game, and it's a cool shooter. And usually when games get announced to be shutting down, there's a slight spike, so you might be able to find some games right now. Next up, Dustin, I know you're not a big PC guy, so I won't spend too much time on this. But Nioh is coming to PC. It's that like Samurai Dark Souls.
Right. I get that mixed up with Nier all the time.
The like just regular Nier and Nier Automata.
Yeah.
They came out around the same time too.
So Nioh, yeah. I forgot that game came out. I need to play that game.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I think you'd like both Nier Automata or Automata, whatever it is. And I think you'd probably like this. Which one would you, since you're mixing them up, you should play one of them.
I would play Nioh over Nier.
I'd play Nier. I like the platinum craziness going on.
Yeah.
Beautiful animations and all that stuff.
It's near and dear to your heart.
It probably would be if I'd played it. Your pun game was on point today on Twitter.
Oh man. Okay, so I gotta explain this to everybody. Eric Bailey, Nintendo Legend, liked something and it showed up in our feed, and it was political cartoons like involving President Barack Obama while he was still president, and like people eating peas at this, like green peas at in the White House. And I read that and I was like, that's weird. And I went back to work, and then like 45 minutes later I thought of this joke, and I dropped everything and I was like, I gotta stop what I'm doing. To hell with work right now. I gotta make this joke. So I went through, scrolled through, found where he liked it, retweeted it to him, and said, "This makes I'm not surprised he did well the Nobel Peace Prize." And I got a ha exclamation mark from Nintendo Legend.
Wait, so when was that original tweet?
It was
Like
it was
fairly
today.
recent? Oh, okay. I thought this was like an old, like during the campaign or something, like during the election last year. You're like, oh man, I got to tell that joke.
Like I thought of a good joke from 2009.
Yeah.
that would make this story so much better. Let's say that's what happened.
Okay.
I like that.
So JC points out that Hawken will be removed. The servers will be down January 2nd of 2018. It's on their Facebook, which is a bummer. Babs brings up it's 9 more subs, so we have 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So we're close. So again, if you're an audio listener only, give us a little bump. Help us to that nice round 10,000 number.
Mm-hmm.
So Nioh is coming to PC just next month in November. So if you're looking for Samurai Dark Souls, I remember hearing the game was really good. It got really good reviews. So, and I think it was PS4 only. Is that right?
Which is it?
Nioh, was that PS4 only?
Nioh. That's the samurai one. I don't think so. Maybe it was.
I don't know.
I think maybe it was. I don't know.
It's so much tougher to keep the current news straight.
Yeah.
It's really easy to think back from stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But this stuff's hard to keep straight sometimes. Next up, so this is really cool. There was an article in Kotaku where this circulated everywhere. This is where I first saw it. there's a developer back in the day used to use fake secrets to sneak games through Sega's certification process. Because back on the Genesis, there was a really stringent quality control like Nintendo had.
Mm-hmm.
And the developer, he describes in a new video, so we'll have this article linked, the Traveler's Tales founder, John Burton, explained that he would use various ways to disguise glitches as random secrets. So Sega's certification process would allow the game to be certified. He would do things like have crashes lead testers to fake select screens for like secret worlds. So it wouldn't like crash out. So testers wouldn't know that the game was crashing out. They'd think that they unlocked a secret.
Sweet. That's awesome.
I think that's so funny. I guess it says in 1994, Mickey's Mania, instead of showing an error message, Burton programmed the game to throw testers to random levels while claiming they encountered hidden time warps. And he repeated that he would repeat the process following the year for the Genesis's version of Toy Story. This time in Toy Story, errors sent testers to different bonus levels, which is awesome. So, yeah, I think that's a really cool story. Ken also says, and when you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get a notification from us when we put up new videos or go live with stuff. So, yeah.
That's right.
We got to get better about the promoting. We're not that great with it. So, I think that's really cool. Next up, Dustin, this made me think of you. Did you see this bomb by PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, man. Swinging for the fences. PS Plus for October has Metal Gear Solid 5.
I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's like 3/4 of a great game.
It caught my attention. I know I was really disappointed for you. Like on your, you loved the little demo so much.
Yeah.
You've helped literally thousands of people on YouTube have been helped by your video on that demo.
Oh yeah, and I totally just stole that from another guy, but I gave him credit.
That's all. Hey, that's what a grown-up does. But then to have Metal Gear Solid 5 fall short, I was really disappointed for you. I know you were looking forward to that game.
Oh man.
But for free, I'm very excited to play it till I'm like over the fact that this is neat.
Yeah.
Then I can.
Sorry,
you're that broken up over Metal Gear Solid 5 still.
It's the wounds are still fresh.
So that's a big deal. Whereas Xbox this month had Rayman 3D HD.
The old Dreamcast game? 3D?
Yes.
Man.
I think it was the one that also was remade. I think there was a port to the 3DS. And whatever the launch Rayman remake game was awful. The 3D, there was no way to have it work. There was always a shadow.
Oh no.
I traded that back in.
Gross.
Yeah. But hey, now Xbox has had really, really good games. I think last month they had Battlefield 3, which is an older one, but that was a lot of people's favorite in that line. So there's still some neat included games with these subscriptions.
Yeah, I actually really like the campaign in that game.
I remember you saying that. So I'm looking forward to playing that. I don't want to coordinate with people and do the 16 on 16 or 64, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Also, Dustin, I no longer am going to be able to sell my PlayStation VR unit. So I'm going to have the old crappy one.
Oh, no.
PlayStation VR is releasing a new headset. It's a remade version. It's going to have some design changes. I guess there's going to be built-in headphones as well as like a headphone jack that's not in this weird breakout box thing. Seems like it's streamlining a little bit better, which is nice. JC says Rayman 3 HD is a remake of the PS2 version of Rayman 3, Hoodlum Havoc.
Oh, okay. Cool, thank you.
So I'm wondering if...
Oh, and bye, Corey.
Oh, see you, Corey. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
So I'll be curious to see once people have their hands on this new unit, what the consensus is as far as the improvements. If the headset is the only thing getting better, I mean, they're still going to have the tracking problem and the bad camera.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But yeah, I should have sold when I had the chance. Now I'm not going to end up selling it. So if you're willing to pay shipping, I'll just let you borrow it, I guess, for a while. So yeah, that's newsworthy, but not, I guess, worth mentioning much from that.
Eventually, it'll be sought after like the original model of Sega CD.
See, that's what I'm hoping for. Or maybe it'll be like the Virtual Boy and no one really wants it. So the next story, did you happen to see this about NES Baseball?
I did not. I did not get a chance to look at that.
So there was a speedrunner. His name is Matt Holmes. And he just set the world record for the baseball speedrun for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And it looks like he beat it in 1:32. I got to watch this video. See, no. 18 minutes 44 is the video length. I don't know how long it took him to beat this, but the way the article made it sound is... Let's see. It says Holmes picked the first pitch up off the ground, and okay, it's 18 minutes and 26 seconds is the speed run. But basically, he happened to get a dumb luck foul ball or double play ball on a foul ball, and thanks to a hole in the game's programming, the base running logic was messed up, and the players will always run and not be able to turn back. And it allowed him to get a quick double play in the ninth inning to end the game to set the world record.
Cool.
And it was because the programming didn't have the ability to adapt the running. But still, you need that to happen in random chance.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to see. 18 minutes. I remember that game being really long. That's why when I was like 1:32, what the hell am I looking at? Zarek says he's still waiting on a new model of the Switch. 32 gigs for storage is laughable. Yeah. Luckily, micro SD cards are inexpensive, but I can't imagine those being all that reliable.
Yeah. They're still flimsy.
They are. I've got one in mind, and we'll see when I run into a data issue. Do you remember there was some talk about they're using the internal memory as kind of a cache to make games load faster, even if it was from the SD card, which I think goes even more into Zarek's point, because you need a little bit of cache available for that to work, even if you put in a smaller card. So I guess it's just you're that much more behind the ball, even if you put in expansion. I've heard people putting in another 32 gigs. I can imagine that getting filled up very quickly.
Yeah.
The Doom port, did you see that the multiplayer is not on the card? It's free, but you still have to download it separately.
Huh.
So that was a way to get around it.
Workaround.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If you don't have internet to download it, you're not playing multiplayer anyways. So
yeah.
And it's going to keep the cost down. It did such a good job with that game. I'm cool with them making as much money as possible.
I just like that they're making games for the Switch. That's cool.
I agree. So did you, and sorry everybody, Dustin had a lot going on today, so I don't know if he's had a chance to read any of these articles, so my lead-in questions, don't be disappointed when I'm like, hey Dustin, so did you see the next thing on Nintendo's? The answer is
I
no.
sure did.
So, Dustin, Nintendo came out with a new policy. You know how there's that Nintendo Creators Program where you can join it and they'll share ad revenue on YouTube with you, but if you don't, they'll just place ads anyways and take all the revenue?
The super exclusive club that we're in?
Yes, the one that you just click a button. Yeah, that one. Well, there's two tiers. There's tiers like us, where we claim a video per video, but we get less of the revenue. Or you can be a Nintendo-only channel, and you get more of a cut. But if you're a Nintendo-only channel, Nintendo just said no more streaming on YouTube.
Man.
People like us can. We don't monetize our live streams, so it's not a big deal. We just do the archive, so that'll get approved. But that really stinks. Nintendo makes you go through all these hoops to say, hey, we'll protect you if you go all in. And their workaround is do it on a different channel that's not a part of the program. So they didn't explicitly say we're going to shut down channels that stream or delete videos. They just said if you're one of the people dedicated to us, we're Nintendo, fuck you. So I felt very bad for anybody that did opt into that. Now, I don't know of any channels that are only Nintendo that are part of this program.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be. But none that you or I follow, I don't think. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
It should be you can only stream if you're part of the exclusive program. Or make a second channel that you do dedicate to only Nintendo.
Yeah.
Instead of this way of doing it. Where people like us that are half committed still get to do what we normally do. Or it doesn't affect anybody that said that they don't care, they're not participating anyways. It's a lot like when cell phone companies and ISPs only treat their new customers well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so since you didn't have a chance to read this next story, it's not really a story, Dustin, but there's been some commentary from some games journalists on Cuphead. And the headline at Polygon is, when is exclusion a valid design choice? And I love that loaded language right now. You're excluding people when a game's too hard. Okay.
You're not being inclusive enough.
Not being inclusive enough. You have not dumbed it down for the masses, so screw you. And here's a... Are you familiar with The Onion?
Yeah.
The satirical website?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a writer named John Walker over at RockPaperShockgun, which is a popular site. We've used it on 2 different articles today.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like somebody from an Onion article complaining about a game because it's too difficult for most people. But this isn't a satire. This is somebody legitimately saying this in an article. So, as Polygon's reporting about whether or not games are too exclude too many people if they're too difficult. Rock, Paper, Shotgun, the quote says, because the real nub of this is it's about exclusivity, Rock, Paper, Shotgun wrote. It's about keeping the riffraff, the outsider out. This section of the game is special to me, and only those that are great as I am deserve it. I deserve this bit of the game. He says, those weaklings do not. Gosh, it's an ugly way of thinking, isn't it? And so utterly idiotic, because it requires mental gymnastics of somehow believing that one's own isolated experience of a game is cheapened, lessened, impacted, and in any conceivable way impacted by the isolated experience of someone else playing that game. And the argument this guy is making is that Cuphead's difficulty level is making it so all people can't enjoy it. Only people that are good enough to play it are able to. The reason I think that sounds like an Onion article is I don't understand the writer's complaint. So is there supposed to be some regulation that makes game companies provide enough difficulty levels? Like, what? This is an independent... Now, I think they're talking about a slightly different or a different game in that particular quote, but it is brought up in reference in this Polygon article. I don't know. When I was reading through that, as poorly as I read through that, I don't know, did you agree with that? And am I just totally misreading it? or did it sound like satire to you? I know it's kind of a loaded question on my end, but
It sounded like that person was too young to have played video games growing up when we grow up.
they also sounded like the kind of person that isn't able to critically think past their own demands, I guess. The irony of him saying the mental gymnastics required on your end, sir, to write an article like that demands games be made to your specifications is insane.
Yeah. I try not to use this word too often, but that's some millennial shit right there.
That's what I thought too. I didn't know how to exactly say that, but you sound like a spoiled, like, I'm going to protest my campus even though there's nothing to complain about. Hugh says, some people think that driving a stick shift car is too hard, so we should stop making those too. Exactly. Like, that's a phenomenal point. And you don't have to play this game, and you're not entitled just because you think Cuphead looks neat. And again, this is not what Rock Paper Shotgun's directly quoting here. But anybody that does feel this way, just because you like the look of the game doesn't entitle you to get to see the end.
Yeah.
Or just because you pay for it doesn't mean you get to see the end.
Hey, guess what? If it's hard and then you beat it, it's even better.
It's the best. And
yeah.
And it's a design choice. Like, there are some games that are great to, like Journey. That wouldn't make sense if it was too hard. It was just its own experience, though. It's silly. It's kind of like the people that are complaining about Game of Thrones not having enough cultural diversity, even though he clearly says it's about like the Middle Ages in Europe.
Yeah.
Well, there was only a bunch of white people there. It's a weird thing to try to project onto things. Like these developers are somehow elitist or something, or they don't want people to play their games. They just made a game that they would want to make. Like, were Xerix levels in Mario Maker, should they be illegal?
He's not catering to my portion of intersectionality. So
That's right.
Due to his lack of inclusivity.
I don't think I'd be that fired up.
Gotta go.
Yes. I don't think I'd be that fired up if these guys didn't get to make a living being analysts with this, like, minimal amount of thought put into what their complaint is or what their point is. Like, I don't think this person could accurately convey the other side of the argument.
Right.
And if you're having an argument with somebody and you can't state their point of view to a point that they would agree that you're accurately portraying, you're not moving on the argument, or the discussion, I should say. And I have little thems, the riffraff, the outsider. What straw man? Well, who talks like that plays video games? Especially single player games. Like this article, one of the things is Assassin's Creed. I mean, maybe in Dota or like Overwatch or something.
Ben Kuchera. I wonder how old this guy is.
I thought the same thing. Now, I had the same exact thought when I was trying to look up John Walker from Rock Paper Shotgun. I don't know. So Zarek says, my response to that article is, since when does a product have to be inclusive to everyone on the planet? These people are just communists. Yeah. It's very strange. Everyone has a different taste, and I love Cuphead, but it's because I love that crazy, difficult Contra style game or Gunstar Heroes game.
Yeah.
I don't go around recommending everybody play Cuphead and Contra. I just say, oh, that's my favorite. I love those. So I don't know. I guess I wanted to state that because I was reading the article and I couldn't believe the person was being truthful, or they really believed what they were saying. That sounded like a satire to me. So
this guy looks like he's our age.
Well,
he's got to just be slinging BS for clicks.
See, yeah, there's got to be some of that, right? Or you're under a deadline and you got to get something out.
Yeah.
So there's words to publish kind of a thing.
He's just kind of writing to his audience.
Yeah. I guess just think about the developer. So on the off chance their game might be too hard, like where does that stop? How many modes do they need to put in before it's acceptable for this writer to be happy with difficult games? How many difficulty levels are okay? It's a lot like the remember when James Rolfe had at the end of the Angry Video Game Nerd episode the one button to beat Contra or to beat Ninja Gaiden 2 and Mega Man?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that what we need for every game?
Yeah.
They do, actually. You can almost always select credits in the menus now. So the guy's just not looking hard enough.
So I Googled John Walker, and it came up with John Anthony Walker, a United States Navy Chief Foreign Officer and Communications Specialist convicted of spying for the Soviet Union from 68 to 85. So he is, in fact, a communist.
Confirmed. Rock, paper, shotgun. Hiring commies. You know, I've got communists on my mind because the Vietnam War by Ken Burns documentary just came out last month. It's excellent, of course, as Ken Burns, but the fact that Trent Reznor did a lot of the music for it is so neat for me. Some of it is new music and some of it's old, and my favorite Nine Inch Nails album is The Fragile.
Okay.
And when that came out, no one liked it. It was reviewed poorly. It was a double album. It followed Downward Spiral, which was the big super hit that he had. And it's neat that over time, looking back, that album's excellent. And a lot of people are like, okay, once we gave it time, it actually is excellent. And hearing a lot of things from The Fragile used in this documentary is so neat. It's just really, it's awesome. So go to PBS and watch Ken Burns' documentary, The Vietnam War. I mean, it's as gut-wrenching as the World War II one. It's crazy, yeah. It's the first time that there's a good, information dump on Vietnam. It's always been one that's been a little gray. So it's been interesting to talk about some of the information found out about Kennedy and getting into it, how LBJ handled things. And then right now I'm in the Nixon transition into it. I told my dad, though, he got a draft card, but he was too young to get drafted. They stopped the draft right as his card had been issued.
Mm-hmm. And
I was telling him about it, and I said, Dad, if you watch it, you'll just be so glad that you did not actually get drafted over into this. It's really, really, really interesting and it's crazy. Hugh says, related to the last topic, he says, I have a hard time picturing a film critic complaining that a horror movie, for example, would need to have more mainstream appeal. Games, too, can appeal to different audiences. Yeah. And Silverfang's like, here it is, you buy it, you play it, and you like it. Hopefully you can beat it. I remember I didn't play games enough when there was this transition into big games being designed specifically so you could beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, there's no way I can beat an Xbox 360 game. There's no way. Like, I couldn't beat a lot of my Nintendo games. There's no way with all these buttons that I can beat a game now.
Yeah.
And then I played Gears 2 co-op with my buddy. And I'm like, oh, there's checkpoints and there's no deaths and there's save points. Oh, I get it now.
Oh, man, that would be crazy. If they made, like, old school Gears, it's just one credit.
There are games that do that. Gunstar Heroes. I don't think has saves. Maybe it does.
3 lives. If
Or
you die, you
0.
start at the beginning of the stage.
Some of those games some game overs were just brutal to the point
Yeah.
you're like, all right. Zurich says, I was telling you guys that he's a communist. Or he's a phenomenal maker of whiskey.
Right, yes.
Next up, so Ken Burns is great. Go watch that. But the last thing of news this week is Danny O'Dwyer, who we've talked about, or I've talked about a bunch. He does the documentary series NoClip on Patreon and YouTube. And this week he released his Witcher documentary. And he also did another kind of behind-the-scenes thing from Witcher 1 and 2, and there's going to be other videos released. It's a half hour, and the dude that started CD Projekt, it's amazing to watch this interview. It's such a good... He's such a cool guy. At least he comes across that way in his interview. Maybe he's a douchebag, but my God, he's likable and hilarious in this interview. And I've seen him in other interviews where he just seems awesome. And it talks about the beginning of CD Projekt Red and how they became to be. And they started out translating games into Polish. Like they got Baldur's Gate and translated Baldur's Gate and exploded in popularity, and then they stopped being a middleman and got the license to The Witcher, and then had to figure out how to develop video games. So then they went around to a bunch of publishers to try to get the game signed up, and only 2 of them responded, and they both weren't impressed, so they had to rethink how they were doing things, and now The Witcher is enormous, and CD Projekt has had kind of the golden touch the last several years, and
Yeah.
it was really, really neat. And he talks about a lot of the social aspects. Speaking of like communism and stuff, he talks about what it was like to be in a socialist country and then looking at what Western civilization had been doing. It was very, very fascinating. We had only grown up in the West, so we never transitioned from Eastern Europe into what it's all like today. You know, he grew up and there was the Berlin Wall and all that stuff. So wild stuff. But my goodness, man, Danny O'Dwyer does incredible documentaries. I do wish he wore nicer clothes. He looked like a dude that rolled off the train in his it's a beautifully shot scene of him talking about the documentary. Mm-hmm. And he's wearing these goofy professor socks and a t-shirt. And it's that's what he always wears. You know, he's a games journalist, and he'd always been real laid back. And I would have put a button up if it was going to be a documentary that's. Although he's dressed that way in all of them, so what am I? Who am I to judge? And I can't make a video that's as good as he can. But it was amazing. He hit another home run. I don't know how. He must be a phenomenal interviewer.
Yeah.
Because every one of the interviews he's published on his documentary series has been incredible. This is my favorite part of the whole. I will spoil my favorite part of the documentary. So he talked about his first big game, their first big game that I think was, it was after Baldur's Gate, but there was a big deal about the Ace Ventura game getting a Spanish translation or a Polish translation. Uh-huh. And Danny O'Dwyer goes, "Oh, how'd they translate alrighty then? What's the Polish for alrighty then?" And they just started laughing. He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "That's great." What a great on-the-spot question. Yeah. But it was interesting hearing... it was... I think I'm biased because he confirmed something you and I have talked about on the show. If you put together a really nice package, fans are going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And so software piracy was crazy back in those days everywhere. But Poland was no exception to that. And one of the things they did with Baldur's Gate was... They got known Polish actors to do the voice acting, and they had this nice collector's edition they made with like a map and all this cool stuff and a nice display box. And they had only sold, I think, 1,000 copies or 3,000 copies up to the point of the company's history. And they went on to sell like 50,000 copies of that. And no one thought that Polish people would buy the games because it was already free. And he's like, no, if you give people something great, they'll pay for it. And they did. And now CD Projekt Red is enormous.
Sweet.
So it was cool.
Now they're making Cyberpunk.
That's right. 2077. Is that what it is? 2077?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Oh, I'm very excited about Blade Runner. I forgot that the dude that made Arrival made this new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And Chris Stuckman gave it an A+.
A+.
That's big. I loved Arrival, so I'm very excited to see Blade Runner. Zarek, don't watch the CinemaSins Blade Runner. He'll rage comment. It wasn't like his John Wick ones where he talks about it lovingly. So that's going to be it for news this week. Excuse me. So now it is time to talk about our YouTube channel of the week.
YouTube channel of the week. Week. Okay. So I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do 2 this week because
okay.
I think they're both repeats.
Okay, that seems fair.
Yeah. So we're going to do Easy Allies. I know we've done them. Because they put out a Game Sleuth episode about Final Fantasy VII. And it is real good. Game Sleuth is their new Pop Fiction.
So if you're not familiar with Pop, it's like Mythbusters, but for video games.
Yes, exactly. So they'll take like one of their Pop Fiction was can you reach the other island in GoldenEye?
Or jumping over the flagpole.
Yeah, can you do that in Mario? And this one is there was an OG like old I don't know why I said OG. There was an old unauthorized strategy guide for Final Fantasy VII that had a fight in it that was specific to the original Japanese release of Final Fantasy VII. And they were trying to figure out if it was reachable in any of the other copies.
Cool. Because there's revisions, even though the packaging doesn't change. After multiple prints, game developers back then did still fix games when they would repress stuff. Hey, Corey, welcome back, man. Disappointed Zarek. I'm going to go read his full comment. He said, I sipped the meat and potatoes of his comment. So he says, I'm telling you guys that he was a communist. His ideology is all about the equity of outcome. Everybody must be able to get the ending. It's weird to you because you must believe in equal opportunity instead. No, that's true. I'd rather the merits be there instead of the general numbers. 'Cause I don't work in big numbers. I work, with people in general. So I'd rather just, I don't know, like somebody or not like somebody based on how they are, not judging them by whatever race or whatever.
Walk right to win is not going to be fun.
Correct.
If you... I think I was 25 years old before I beat Castlevania for the first time. It's one of my favorite games ever because it was a mountain that I had to climb.
I felt that way with Contra in college. It was the first game I bought off the internet, off of eBay, and actually it was from half.com, where you needed an eBay account to buy from half.com, and paid $10, and I got Contra, and just because I wanted to play it, and something I just wanted to beat it without the code.
Yeah.
And it morphed into one of my, and I never would have been able to do that as a kid.
Yeah.
But at 19 years old in a dorm room, I could get that done.
Struggle is a good thing, people. Perseverance builds character.
Generally is, and I don't think that anybody in our chat would disagree with that.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's weird. I don't understand the thought process of being owed the ending of a game. That's why it feels like The Onion to me. I have to go back to that. I can't believe someone seriously thinks that way. All right, so Easy Allies, Game Sleuth. Also, there is a Game Trailers archive, so if you would like to see where the series started, if you type in Game Trailers Pop Fiction, there's a whole Game Trailers archive on YouTube. You can see all their stuff.
It's great. And the other one we're going to do is from a channel called Dongled. This guy does a bunch of retro stuff, but he's also one half of, the reason I picked this is he's one half of Pixel Tunes Radio.
I didn't listen this week yet, but I did subscribe.
It is exactly what it sounds like. It's video game music, but he and his co-host talk about music from a very informed standpoint. Like, they know what they're talking about. They talk about the compositions from an educated perspective, of which I really appreciate. Like the things that they hear and the way that they talk about the songs is actually over my head sometimes. So I feel like I'm learning stuff as well as enjoying awesome video game music. And it's not the most recent episode, but I picked the Ease episode because the E series has amazing music. I've always liked it, and it wasn't until I listened to this podcast that I realized that Yuzo Koshiro did some of the music for the E series, and that's why it's so awesome.
Who else was he?
Streets of Rage, ActRaiser.
Okay. Yeah. ActRaiser, I know, is known big time for its music.
Yeah.
That and recently it was brought up. I felt bad. Ben Pack commented that he told a story about bragging that he could beat ActRaiser, and it was in front of people, and he couldn't do it, even though he had done it in the past. It was kind of like an egg on his face, like bragging and couldn't come through. I know what that's like. So that's fresh in my mind, the ActRaiser. But he did mention that the music was amazing. Dongled, I think you have done before. The way that you're describing the podcast, it makes me think of Major Third, which is a YouTuber I brought up here before. And, specifically his Shovel Knight explanation of what Jake Kaufman does in the soundtrack of Shovel Knight. It's incredible having it broke down in that way. It's over your head, yeah, but you're learning something.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like hearing stuff like that.
And also, a side note related to Ease, I heard that 8 is really good. Like, really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's been getting like crazy good reviews. I need to pick
9s places. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for Ease 8. Maybe that'd be a good one for me to jump in on. That or 3, that side-scroller one you were telling me about. I have a copy of that on Genesis. So, yeah, that's it for our YouTube highlights this week. So, Dustin, man, what have you been playing?
Oh, and if you're one more thing, if you're listening and you're not already subscribed to Zarek, go subscribe to him because he's playing through Outlast or has played through. I haven't finished his last video. It's a pretty short game, so he may have beaten it. Zarek, let me know in the chat.
So am I off the hook for playing it on our channel now? Now you just have to play it? No, okay.
No, you still have to play it with a face cam.
Okay. No. I couldn't remember if I agreed to play it on stream or not last week, but I do remember not being okay with face cam. I did download it. I installed it, and I did confirm that it does run. I have the DRM free version from Humble Bundle, and I can play it through my Steam Link. So
sweet.
I don't have much of an excuse to not play it.
There you go. And he even started the series off with a pun. He said, "Will my heart be able to outlast this game?"
That's right. Yeah, the stream title.
Yeah.
Zarek, thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you enjoying Outlast? I'm not watching those because I'm planning on playing it.
Spoilers, right?
Yeah.
He says he hasn't beat it yet. Okay.
Cool.
Sweet.
It's that time, man. I've got Haunted 86 ready. I've got Outlast I need to play. and then probably some more Castlevania stuff, and that'll be good for the stream or for the channel for me. Man, I'm not looking forward to Outlet. I'm gonna embarrass myself. I
do that every time I play a video game.
Maybe that's true. My Hob stream, I made some errors where Zarek was like, "What are you doing?" It's different. Like I don't make those mistakes unless I'm looking at chat and checking stream health and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's weird doing it live. It's really weird. I don't mind it, but I just have to accept the fact that I'm gonna have big mess ups.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry.
Back to what I've been playing.
Yep.
I've been playing Battlefield Bad Company, which was Xbox 360 exclusive shooter. I started the game and got all the way through the intro last time, and Solly walked in. I was like, well, okay, that's enough. I talked about that last week. I played for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And one thing that's really weird is I know I've played this game before, but I don't have trophies for or achievements. Achievements for things that I know I did.
So
I thought that was really weird.
Could you Could someone else have been logged in? Or could you have accidentally been playing on like a guest account?
Maybe. It seems unlikely, but
You know, you could be on a guest profile pretty easily on Xbox.
Or maybe, like, I'm no longer
Were there any cloud saves?
a gold subscriber. Like, maybe I was at one point, now I'm not.
I thought we shouldn't affect your achievements, though, because you still get the gamer score or whatever. It's not like that reset to 0, right?
Right. I don't know.
That's weird.
It's really weird. But I noticed that for like half a second. I was like, that's weird. But then I went back to shooting dudes. And that's, man, going back, almost 10 years now. And it's so strange how even just that little bit of time, 2008 seems so recent, but things had not yet been like standardized.
Okay.
Like I got into a vehicle and I went to accelerate using the right trigger because that's how you accelerate, and that's the brake. The left trigger is the accelerator.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
But like, there's no reverse on the triggers. You have to use one of the face buttons, and like the X button is the accelerator also.
That I also saw that in the 90s. Talking about things not being standardized, the first crack at a Witcher game that was unreleased had tank controls.
No, wow.
Just like, wow, they hadn't figured that one out yet. It's a good thing that didn't come out.
Yeah.
So, I remember especially Jason Heine on YouTube. You know, he was on All Gen Gamers podcast, and he loved Battlefield Bad Company. He talked about that as one of his favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
I remember it being really well received. Were you into it when it first came out as well? When it was in the zeitgeist?
Yeah, I played through it when it was new. I never got into the... No, I take that back. Bad Company and Bad Company 2 were the two multiplayer experiences that I actually dug into.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it. Just, I don't know, the way we talk about Castlevania and Contra.
Yeah.
He's our age, but yeah, he got really into that.
Yeah, but I love the campaign. It's basically 3 kings in Russia.
Okay.
Or Eastern Europe.
How are the controls to adapt to, though? I mean, is it that jarring?
The shooter part is fine. It's the vehicle stuff that's weird.
Okay.
Like, it's left trigger for sights, right trigger shoots. Cycle through some stuff for bumpers. Cycles through your like gadgets and your weapons. One weird thing is the reload is on B.
Okay.
Well, hold on. I actually have to look at the pad. Hold on.
It's on the right.
A. The A button is reload. Usually it would be where the X button is.
I was going to say X feels like the common reload for me. At least I think in Halo that's what it is.
I'm pretty sure in Bad Company 2 it would be if you were playing on a console. But yeah, that game's good. The banter between your teammates is funny.
Okay.
It doesn't take itself seriously. It's like you get into a vehicle and it's like surf music. The title screen comes up and it's like this really chill like jazz piano like
Okay.
it's like this. It was trying to be subversive in the face of Call of Duty.
Gotcha.
Where
Instead
Call of
of being like
Duty-
a clone or something.
Right. Where Modern Warfare was like, it's war, like, kill them, America, yeah. Like, this was like, this is like 4 dudes, they want to steal some gold and retire.
Okay. What
And
made,
they're
what
like
made you fire
a
this
bunch
up?
of chuckleheads. I hadn't played it in a million years, and it was $5 on eBay.
Always, that explains a lot when it comes to this podcast. Oh, cool, man. That's cool. You got back into that. We got some discussion about Outlast. I don't want to read too much of it. There are some things I wouldn't want to know, but I'm such a wimp with even spoilers. Like, I guess I can't fight back in Outlast.
That's correct. You have
I
zero offensive capabilities.
I would have liked to. I'm sure that's been discussed before, but I forgot about it. I wish I didn't know that because I think it would add to the tension for me.
Yeah.
Not knowing that.
Well, now you know you're not like, if an enemy's in the room, you're not gonna like look for a weapon. Like, oh, what button is the punch button?
I'm
Now
still gonna shit myself. I'll feel just as helpless.
Yeah, but you won't stand around looking for like a piece of wood to swing at his head.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I know, I have to get out of here now.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm just looking for a reason to not play that game. I do though. I'm gonna wear like my NES headphones and really, really get it. The sound I think is really where the fright's gonna come from. Because a computer game isn't that scary, but the tension of not being able to move or fight back or have to. I hate sneaking. I hate stealth. So, we'll see.
You're gonna love this game.
I might. I hope I do.
Although, I was in the chat with Zarek and I was giving him like A+ advice. A+ advice. And he was ignoring it. Purplin says, go potty before you play the game.
I'll make sure to clear off my desk. Like, I've got a beer here now. I'll make sure to
Right.
like have stuff cleared away that I can't knock over.
And Zurich makes another good point. That's not really a spoiler. It says you're not a fighter. Run in like the first few minutes.
Okay, I'll let you know like straight up. Okay.
Yeah. Like Paul Abdul.
That's so that song came up this weekend.
Okay.
I have a weird theory that songs that come out when you're 4 and 5 years old that are really big on the radio, you'll have strong nostalgic ties to, even if they're terrible. So my brother was looking through songs that would have came out when he was that age, and I think it was Straight Up. It was a Paul Abdul song. I'm pretty sure it was Straight Up. And he was like, I kind of like that song. And I'm like, see? Like half of Janet Jackson Control. I think that album's incredible. Would it be had I not been 5 years old or 4 years old when that came out? I don't know. But I love it now. I don't know. So it's like 85, 86 for you?
Yeah. I'd say anywhere in between like 86 to 88.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, I went 86 to 89 just looking at songs. And a lot of those, I find myself saying, see, that's when musicians were good. when pop musicians had full bands. It wasn't just a computer. Like, you just start sounding like a curmudgeon.
Back in my day.
I mean, really, I do make that argument. I'm like, back in my day, even Madonna had a jam at the end for the studio musicians.
Yeah.
It's true, and now it's still just as, like, boxed and corny and corporate as it was then, as it is now, but for some reason, you know, I find any reason to say why it was better in the 80s. And I'm aware that's silly. I don't know. So, yeah, what else you been playing, man?
Today, I just started up Hob, but that's the reason I didn't read any of the links. I was playing Hob until like 7:01. I was like, oh, hell, I gotta get up and go get my Gatorade. So, yeah, I started playing Hob. I played about an hour-ish of it. Solly was in here watching with me.
Ah, cool.
He was excited. He enjoyed it. And that game is great.
Right?
It is great. It's awesome.
I agree. I was surprised at how much it's got that charm.
Yeah. Like the movement, the combat, the way that the environment is laid out, like going into caves and finding stuff. Like, I've already found a different cloak. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you constantly feel like you're progressing. It's the most amazing thing about that game. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. I figured you'd really enjoy it a lot, but I knew you didn't have a chance to play it last week.
Yeah, and I got to thank Tony because he sent me the PS4 code.
Yes. So yeah, shout out to Tony, who I think is going to be able to join in the next week or two.
All right.
For a real episode, so I'm excited. Yeah, he's just busy and stuff right now. Yeah, Detroit, Motor City, hell yeah. Got people showing some love for Detroit. I love Detroit. Yeah, so
At least we're not Detroit.
That is one of the best YouTube videos of all time. If you've never seen the tourist video, isn't it tourist video for Cleveland?
Yeah.
Our economy is based on LeBron James. Oh my God. I cried the first time I saw that. But yeah, so Hob, I really like the art direction too. It's just,
yeah, they're really cool, like cell shaded. Oh man, it's like, to give you an idea of what the gameplay is like, it's top down. It's like The Legend of Zelda, OG The Legend of Zelda, mixed with like Shadow of the Colossus as far as like the climbing around.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I haven't fought anything huge, so maybe like Tomb Raider would be a better touchstone for that. And like the combat is almost like Dark Souls because you can lock on to dudes, you can roll, one of the first things I bought was a shield that I could use.
Yeah, and you got to be real deliberate with your movements and stuff like that.
It's easy to die. I've died several times.
But the checkpoints are done so brilliantly in that game. That even if you circle back and you pass a new checkpoint, or you pass a previous checkpoint, and you die, you go back to the one you were just closest to. So it mitigates the amount of progression that you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we gave a copy away last week on the show.
Yeah.
And Silverfang's back, and he's enjoying it. So, yeah, next week, keep an eye out for our channel. We're not sure which day yet, but we'll announce it. We are going to have somebody from Runic Games on the show next week to talk about. We were supposed to have it this week, but schedules didn't work out. But next week we'll have someone from Runic Games on to talk about Hob. So it'll be fun to hear some inside the baseball talk about the development of the game, inspirations, background of the developer, all that kind of stuff. Should be a lot of fun.
You can say we're hobnobbing with the developer.
Oh. Very nice. I feel like you've got so much practice under your belt. It's impressive to me every time. And like you and Zarek, it's like, it's nothing. Like, I think in puns, man. It's like learning Spanish. You just start to think in that way. So yeah, I've also been playing Hob. It's awesome. I'm gonna try to beat it over the weekend. I'm having a hard time pulling myself away from Cuphead though. Cuphead is so good, but I'm gonna sound like an elite as fuck, I guess, according to Rock Paper Shotgun. But it is my kind of difficult. It's difficult in the way I like games to be difficult. It's Contra hard. It's Gunstar Heroes hard. It's Mega Man hard. And there's only, as much as I'm struggling to progress, I haven't felt I've had that many cheap deaths. It's always been, God, I didn't focus. I did not focus. I should have saw that coming. I think you would love it. Now, do you have the time to dedicate to it the way you do an Ninja Gaiden or something like that to get through it? If it got your hooks in, you would love this game because it is so hard, but it's hard in that fun way.
Yeah.
It doesn't control like Castlevania, but Castlevania, unless a sprite like comes off a screen that probably shouldn't have respawned, it's usually your fault when you die. You know that you jumped in a weird spot. And that's how this game... What's weird is, when you're playing a really difficult game and you keep getting better and you start just getting through things that you just were struggling with, like it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. This has that. And it looks unbelievable and it sounds incredible. And it runs...
Do you know what it's rated?
As far as the ESRB?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I would guess T for teen.
Okay.
Because maybe some violence. But that's like today's T for teen. Like Caddyshack. No, Caddyshack was. Airplane was PG. There's full-on boobs in
Yeah.
Airplane's PG. So things were... so is this like 1930s G? Absolutely. But there's some scarier animations, but it's scary in the way that, like, if you're worried about playing around Sully or anything, I wouldn't be very concerned about that.
Ooh, okay, cool.
What's really neat is it is really a boss rush game. It's just a hard, it starts and there's a giant boss on a side of the screen, and you have to do pattern-based boss fights against giant bosses.
Cool.
And if you've been a listener of our show for a while, we have been saying that we like that in games for years. Mm-hmm. So to have a game where that's the focus, plus an incredible animation on it, is unbelievable. But it's one of those that I'm not sure I'd really recommend for people. But it's hard. I don't know. I'm hoping I can beat it. I'm at 37% completion. Okay. But man, when you talked about overcoming earlier, this game really does that for me. It's really gratifying when I make progress, because it does. When I start a new boss, it feels like I cannot do this. There is no way I can do this one.
Yeah.
And it respawns instantly, so when you die, you get another good run.
Mm-hmm. I think the last 2D version of that, like I guess the last version of that I got was Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
But the last 2D version would probably be, is it Rogue Legacy?
Oh, yeah.
Like, some of those bosses were crazy.
Yes. But those were just pattern-based things.
Yeah.
That eventually you know what to do. This, you can't really level your way out of these like you could with Rogue Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you're good enough that you'd be able to... The last game I played that was this hard that I beat was probably Super Meat Boy.
Okay.
So I'd really like to... And
That's
again,
good company.
And that was another game that was brutally difficult, and I was so proud of myself when I beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can show you a picture of the game if anybody out there doesn't believe I beat Super Meat Boy. But that took a lot of hours.
Yeah.
A lot of repetition, but this is really scratching that edge. And that was 7 years ago, so I think I'm ready to play through something difficult again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's what I've been playing. I've been playing Hob and Cuphead. Also, I did reinstall The Witcher 3. I watched that documentary and I'm like, damn it, I'm going to get back into that game. My save is gone, but I don't know. I might tinker around with that a little bit. I remember Mike from Retrocast talking about Blood and Wine expansion being maybe some of his favorite video game, well, just ever. He might take that expansion as his favorite video game experience. And I don't know, CD Projekt Red. I'm a fanboy right now. Makes me proud the Slovaks share so much with the Polish people. the pierogies and the Catholicism, I guess. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it for what we've been playing. So let's do our listener feedback and call it a show. So do you want to get Dumez or Tony's stuff this week?
I'll do Tony's.
Okay.
He says, "Hey guys, hope you were well. I had a long comment prepared, but my computer rebooted and I lost half of it. Oh well, screw it."
Thanks, Windows 10.
Yeah. Line of the week from Scott. "I've thought about doing a green screen, but the last thing I need is another layer of potential technical difficulties to have. I really enjoyed playing Halo 5 SWAT with you, Scott, and I hope we can play some more soon." Dustin, "Scott answered your question well. That Xbox One voice chat is great. Dustin, thanks for your review of It last week. I'm going to see it soon. I've been thinking about It a lot recently. Just having seen it. Like,
Are you liking it more since you've seen it?
I am. I really am.
Cool.
Like, I don't know if the adults, like, I see people putting like casting choices for the adults on Twitter or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I don't know if any adults could match those kids. Those kids were awesome. It was like watching the Goonies fight a like killer clown.
I'm excited. And so many people like that movie, and I liked the first half of the originals.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see it. My brother really liked it. He's a big horror fan.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I don't want to oversell it. I don't want to be like, it's going to change your life. It's good.
Well, I mean, it's
and that goes to everybody. Yeah.
It's it. So there's always that caveat. Like, Dread's not the most amazing movie ever, but Dread's an unbelievable follow-up to RoboCop and an unbelievable Dread movie.
Yeah. God, that movie's awesome.
Alex Garland, man. Annihilation. 2018. Get
Sweet.
Hyped. Get hyped.
I have no idea what it's about, but I'm in.
Yeah, me either. I know it's that, what do they call it in sci-fi? High-level sci-fi or high... Something sci-fi?
High sci-fi. Yeah. Like high fantasy, high sci-fi.
Yeah, where it's like more about the thought-provoking side of things than the lasers and the tech or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, sorry.
More navel gazing than actual like movie.
Yeah, like the conflict and like the moral choices in Sunshine, or like the characters, the way they handle the situation in 28 Days Later. It's not really about zombies. It's how the people dealing with zombies do it. And he does it in a really good way. Ex Machina did a really... Even though that one was a little more obvious, man, I just loved the way that movie was done so much.
Okay, let's see. The voice chat is great. Dustin, thanks for your... I already read that. Scott, I am pumped to dive into Hob. Thanks for your insight on it. I am pumped for your developer interview. Dustin, have you tested the PS4 copy I sent you? Oh, and to go back on that, Hob on the PS4 ran fine.
Oh, I did want to ask you about that. If it had been patched or if that was just a review bug.
It did. There has been a patch since I played it.
Okay.
So, but it did. It worked perfect.
Cool.
Hob runs fine on my Intel 2 Core Duo PC on medium settings with 8 gigs RAM and a GTX 1030. I miss George Carlin too. He is he's still very applicable. I have not heard of the movie Annihilation. I will need to check it out. Need to check out the trailer. I did buy a. Oh, this is funny. I've read this comment before. This is funny. I did buy a digital UHD copy of Ghost in the Shell this week. I was at Family Video in town, and I noticed they sell digital copies now. And they had a ton of ones for $4.50. They had no copies of Ghost in the Shell on the shelf, but I asked at the counter, and they had 50 or so. So I got it for $4.50. Awesome. Great episode, although half my comment was gone. Later, guys. Have a great rest of your week. So when I read that the first time, I read UMD. And I thought Tony was walking around like trying to find PSP versions of Ghost in the Shell. And I'm like, Tony, what are you doing with your life, man? And I went back and, UHD. That makes so much more sense. Okay.
Yeah, so what are you doing with your life, Dustin? Snap out of it. It's not longer. Dustin's like, time stopped at 2009, so...
All right. And I noticed Zarek in chat says, about difficult games. Sometimes it's fun to go for a walk on the beach. Sometimes you want to climb a freaking mountain and make it your beach.
Oh,
wink.
I like that. I should put that on my gravestone. Silver Thing also brings up Jigsaw, related to the It conversation. I never liked the Jigsaw or the Saw movies. I think I saw the second one and parts of some others. I don't like gore porn.
Yeah.
And impossible puzzles.
Yeah. The first one is awesome. The first Saw movie is really good. I like the second movie because it had Shawnee Smith in it.
I have to see who that is. The second one, see, and that spooked me out. Like, I did not like that. And that's obviously, like, silly stuff. Or, I remember Blair Witch spooked me in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
have you seen the new
15, 16. No.
Oh, okay. I just got that on Blu-ray and watched it recently.
Is that good?
It was all right. It was a lot of, they use cameras that, they're that famous model where every time you start or stop recording, it makes it sound like you're punching the microphone.
Okay.
So when there's like, it's tense and quiet, and they change scenes, but because they start and stop, it goes, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of our home videos, but I know what you're talking about. Like, it's an added effect for them to make it feel authentic.
And then, like they're in the woods and spooky stuff is happening, and instead of making noise, people will walk up on other people completely silently, and then they'll be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Okay.
Or a jump scare.
Yeah. You know, I do need to watch Cabin in the Woods finally this year. I've not ever watched that. I always hear that's a really good.
That's a good
take on that kind of genre and spooky stuff. So we'll see if I enjoy the twist or not. So yeah, good deal. Thanks again, Tony. Again, that's Tony, dude that started the show with us. So yeah, hopefully he'll be on soon. Dumbass has 2 quick comments. He says, if you want to be really cool like me, pronounce it just right. More like Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
And then he also says, Molson XXX mixed with Clamato juice. Awesome that way because the mixing is still strong, but not too strong. Because it's got normal alcohol content after you fix the Clamato, and it's delicious. He used to drink that back in the day. I don't like the tomato juice and alcohol very much. And then Clamato, like clams and tomato juice.
I have no idea.
I know Clamato is very popular to pour with beer, like he was doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And Bud Light for a while here in Ohio did sell an alcohol tomato juice. Mm-hmm. Like I don't like Bloody Marys that much either. It reminded me, like that back end flavor reminded me, and I love this, but there was this tomato beef broth that my grandma would make.
Yeah.
And it tasted like the back end of that. And that was like a soup I enjoyed, not something I want to get like drunk from.
Right.
So I don't like it. I
was with a buddy in Louisiana, and he got a Bloody Mary with bacon in it for breakfast.
That's popular. Now, back then, that was... Everyone's lifted that idea since then.
Yeah.
I've seen it done plenty of times. Well, it's a good idea, though. Like, the people that came up with that, that's brilliant. Bacon's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So to use that as a drink stir... Dude, I didn't realize how amazing bacon was until I stopped microwaving it. And, like, took the time to let it, like, really crisp up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to just microwave it and just try to stop it before it burnt and stuck to the paper towel. And I still liked it then. But now it's worth taking the time.
Gotta be patient with your bacon.
You do, man. So, all right, that's going to be it for the week. If you'd like to comment and you want to send us an email, you can send that to classicelite@gmail.com. That's classicl337. If you'd like us to read your YouTube comments related to this episode, or if you've watched any archive episodes and you'd like to comment, we do read our YouTube comments, and we don't get too many, so even if you comment on a previous episode, we should still see that and be able to read it on the next podcast. You can do that in the description or in the comment section of any of the videos that we have about the podcast. Let's see here. Ken says, here's a tip. If you see me cooking, run away fast. And Silver Fang says we need to stop. We're making him hungry. Okay. All right, we'll stop about the delicious bacon. Fuck, man, I'm gonna go get some bacon now.
I wonder if we could get a sponsorship from bacon.
Dude, I would have extremely low rates for bacon.
Yeah. And then we could. No, I will say it. We could be bringing home the bacon.
Oh, dude, layups for you. See,
Yeah.
when they're that good, and you're like, nah.
I feel like that was low hanging fruit.
You're pun elitist. See, it was for your level, but you're in hard mode. So, yes, and also if you would like, you can also contact us through our website or find any of the archives of our old podcast episodes at classicelite.com. That's classic L337 again. If you also like the audio versions of the podcast, if you like to have it while you're in class or work or in your car and all that kind of stuff, you can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, and SoundCloud. For social media, you can interact with us really easily on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and also SoundCloud. Any of these places we've mentioned, if you search for Classic L337, you'll find us. Actually, I've got it tagged in weird ways, too. I think LEET gets us. I think 1EET. There's a... If you get us out phonetically, you'll probably stumble across it. But social media, yeah, again, we are most active on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. If you'd like to support the show, you can subscribe, I guess, on YouTube. I don't know how that works. I think there's a subscribe button for us now. But we do have Amazon affiliate links, so if you buy something on Amazon, after you click on that link, we'll get some credit for it. And there's Super Chat for people that want to donate while we're live. But for the most part, just if you like to watch our video and share it and give us a thumbs up, that means more to us than any of that other stuff.
Word.
Yeah, and this week, Dustin, last year I realized I screwed up.
Okay.
And I meant to buy, or I bought an album and then didn't bring it up during Halloween. And it's called Fight Club.
All right.
And it's by Various Ghouls instead of Guess.
Okay.
But some of the ghouls in the lineup are people we've played before. Payne Purdue, Cannabis, Nabis, Purely Gray. And this week we're playing Io Shutduff, who we've played on the show a lot before. So this is a chiptune album. It's 9 tracks long. It's Pay What You Want. It's over on Bandcamp. And it came out last year in October as a Halloween-themed chiptune album. So there's some remixes as well as original stuff that has kind of a spooky feel. So this week we're playing Made of Shadows by Ayu Shutduff. It's a really good song. Again, you can pay what you want, so I would recommend definitely supporting it. It's a really good album, and yeah, that's going to be it for this week's show. So, Dustin, before I do the sign-off, anything else you wanted to mention before we shut it down?
I went over to Neon Dystopia and checked out their September music thing.
The dossier.
Yes, thank you. And after going to Bandcamp for I like the ones that they play, but I also try to go to the page and listen to all the other stuff too.
Yeah.
I bought like a couple of discographies.
Nice.
For I think the most I spent was like $16 maybe.
Okay.
But I thought it was a band's discography. It was I think the publisher's discography.
Really?
So one of them was 139 albums for $1. So I ended up increasing my music library by about 30% last Wednesday.
Hell yeah. I love Bandcamp, and 90%, I believe is 90% goes straight to the artist. I think
That's awesome.
Bandcamp's cut's only 10%.
But they were having some kind of crazy sale.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I love Bandcamp. It's good stuff. So, yeah, I think Purely Gray is who hosted this album on his Bandcamp. Maybe it's Tracked. No, Purely Gray. That's who it is. So, all right. So, yes, this is Ayu Shutduff, Made of Shadows, and thank you very much for listening to episode 249 of the Classic League Podcast. And we'll see you next week for the nice round number of 250.
Moosh.
All right. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. That's going to be it for the show. I got to shut it down so I don't have to edit this stuff out. But yeah, Zarek, Silverfang, Babs, Corey, thanks for coming back. Yasha Kitten, good to see you again. Ken, as always, good to see you. And I think that, and of course, Hugh at the Retro League. Shout out to him if he's still around.
Yeah.
So it's been really neat to have him here over the last month. So,
Hey guys, go buy Hugh's book on Amazon.
Yes, like my loser years in the.
Yeah,
I think it's my loser years on Amazon. If you type in Hugh Johnson, at least spells it. I think he's Swedish. It's Hugues Johnson, and yes, he's aware of the way that looks. So, all right. Well, you guys have a good one. And Zarek, thanks again, man. We'll see y'all next week.
Boosh. It's in the chat.
Oh,
Peace out, guys.
Laser. I said laser. I saw loser in the chat. Night, everybody.